All right, let's take a look at the section 11.2 work installment buying. Okay, so in 11.2, we're going to look at things like add-on interest loans and APRs, right? So actually your first homework question is to convert the credit card rate to an APR. They also tell you to look in the book. So definitely look in the book, right? That's what the book is for. So you're told to look in section 11.2 at example 6. And they tell you that because there's a formula, right? So if we go over to the book, for example, right? And then we go to example 6. They have us taking our interest rate of 1.75%. We then have to turn that to a decimal form, right, of the answer. So 1.75% is a decimal of 0.0175. So first of all, this will be our rate. And then what we do is, since there are 12 months per year, we multiply our rate by 12. So we take our 1.75% and we multiply by 12. That's going to give us, let me grab the calculator. That's going to give us 0.0175 times 12. That gives us a value of 0.21, which means that we have a 21% APR. So definitely if they tell you to go look in the book, by all means, go look in the book, right? That's where the information's at. Okay, so what is an APR? That is discussed, which I thought they were going to have us do first, actually. So the APR formula, which we didn't actually use here, but at least that's the place where we find out what this thing is, right? That's on page 515. It's the annual percentage rate. So annual percentage rate. Oh, spelling. So find the annual percentage rate, and they always throw me off by telling me Oregon, but Oregon really has nothing to do with it. Okay, so for you, that was number 1 in your homework. For me, that was number 25 in the book, right? And they told us Oregon 1.75% per month. So they gave us a monthly rate, and we found the annual rate. Okay, let's try that again, right? That's how the book goes. So let's clear this out. Number 2 for you is number 30 in the book. So again, if you're looking at the homework, this is homework problem 2. But homework problem 2 is listed as 11230. That means it's section 11.2, number 30 in your book, right? We're asked to convert a credit card rate to APR from Nebraska, which, like I said, does not really matter, 0.05014% is the daily rate that they're giving us. Okay, so based off of the last one where we had a monthly rate, right? Now we're going to want to multiply by 365 instead of 12, right? So what we first have to do here is put this rate into a decimal form. So 0.05014, and then we're going to multiply by this daily rate, right? So let's do APR equals 0.0005014 times 365, right? Again, we're just looking at example 6 in the book as the homework problem has told you to do, 0.0005014 times 365. I get a value of 0.183011, which is 18% when rounded to the nearest percent. So when you're looking at the APR in the first two homework problems, you're looking at example 6 on page 517. Okay, number 3 is a video. Number 4 is a 3-parter. You have to do all the kinds of credit cards to it. Okay, so we have different credit card loans, right? In number 4 in your homework, so let me clear this out. Number 4 in your homework is number 31 in the book. That's got an odd number, right? That means there'll be an answer for it in the back of the book, which is always nice. We are told to calculate the monthly finance charge for the credit card transaction, assuming it takes 10 days for the payment to be received and recorded, and that the month is 30 days long. Okay, so let's see. We've got 10 days for the payment. We're going to need that for one of the methods to be received. And recorded. And that the month is 30 days long. So that's another piece we're going to need. We're also told that we have a balance of 200. Well, I'm going to call that a balance. A balance of 200. We have an interest rate of 18%, which in decimal form is 0.18. And we are told that we have a $50 payment that we're making that takes 10 days, right? So A asks us to use the previous balance method. You're not expected to know these off the top of your head. You're expected to go to your book, right? So go to your book. This is section 11.2, right? You're going to need page 517, and you're going to need the procedures for calculating credit card interest. So they want us to compare these 3 different credit card methods: the previous balance method, the adjusted balance method, and the average daily balance method. So for the chart on page 5 of 17, we're told for credit card interest, use the simple formula that I equals PRT. For the previous balance method, which we have here, interest is calculated on the previous month's balance. With this method, P equals the previous month's balance, so 200. The annual interest rate, 0.18, and a T of 1/12. So I got that from going to the book, right? Not off the top of my head, but going and looking at what the book had to say, because nobody knows just this stuff off the top of their head, right? So I equals PRT, which is 200 times 0.18 times 1 divided by 12. When I stick this in the calculator, Darla, are you home? I get a value of 3. That's an interest rate of $3. So we got to think about what we're doing, right? It's not an interest rate of $3, it's an interest amount. So the amount of interest for the previous balance method, when the previous balance ended at 200, is $3. So I'm going to put a little note up here just so we can maybe keep track of them, right? The next method is the adjusted balance method. So let me erase this stuff, right? And we'll look at B. Oops. B is the adjusted balance method. Which in the book on page 517 says interest is calculated on the previous month's balance less credits and payments. So this time P is 200, take away the payment. That gives us this adjusted balance where R is the annual rate and T is 1/12 for 1 month, right? That's 1 month out of the 12 months that are in a year. So we go use our I equals PRT formula. We use P equal to $150 times the 18% times the 1 divided by 12. So this time we get 50 times. This time we get an interest for our credit card of $2.25. So this method, we have a little bit less of a finance charge. And the last type is the average daily balance method, which is definitely the most difficult one. But on this campus, it's actually not as difficult as it is in the UNM book, for example. So sometimes your class is harder than the one at UNM, and sometimes their class is harder, right? So in this regard, for your average daily balance method, it's kind of, you guys get the easier question this time around, right? So that's nice. I like it when we get a win. So here we'll say C. C is the average daily balance method. And for this method on page 517 in your book, it reads, add the outstanding balances for each day in the billing period and divide by the number of days. And if you turn the page, you'll get to see an example of these being solved, right? Because the average daily balance is like the strangest one. So to find P, what we're doing is we have to find the average daily balance, which means for 10 days, we had a balance of $200, right? Because it took 10 days until the payment went through. And then what we had was we had 150 days for the remaining 20 days that are in this month, right? And so as a result, we have to find the average amount that was on our credit card during this month. So let's take a look. We've got I gotta clear the calculator. 200 times 10 plus 150 times 20, enter, divide by 30, gives me an average monthly balance of 166 and 67 cents when I round to the nearest cent. And we'll be able to see if we should or shouldn't round right here, but that was the average balance in terms of dollars and cents if we round to the nearest cent. And then from there, we now have a P, right? And so for the rest of the problem, then P is our average daily balance, R is the rate, and T is slightly different this time around. So we're going to go with I equal to PRT, where P is 166.67. R is the interest rate, and T this time, so just note to self, R is 0.18, the annual rate. T is the number of days out of the number of days a year, which is 365, not whatever I wrote down. And then we have 30 days. So this time we're doing 30 out of 365 instead of 1 out of 12, because this particular method is looking at how many days out of the year you have, not how many months, because it's this average daily balance method in particular. Okay, so I'm going to stop putting the calculator away between each time. Let's see, 166.67 times 0.18, hit enter, then multiply by 30, divide by 365, which gives me a value of $2.47 when rounded to the nearest cent. So remember, if you have a next digit that is more than halfway to the next digit, or halfway or more to the next digit, you round up to the next cent, right? Because otherwise, somebody's eventually going to get ripped off. Okay, so you can see that the finance charge was lowest on B, right? So with the lowest finance charge on B, and kind of a medium one on the daily balance, right? And the highest on the previous balance. So without considering the payment of $50 at all, the first method was the most expensive finance charge, right? So finance charge is just I equals PRT. Please use your book for these problems because the formulas are in the book, right? Okay, so looking at number 5 for you, which in our book is 32C, it says. So it says we're looking at 11.2 0.2.032C, right? So it's number 32 in your book. Calculate the monthly finance charge for the credit card transaction. Okay, we just practiced all of them. Assuming it takes 10 days for the payment to be received and recorded, and that the monthly payment is 30 days long. So we're practically just doing what we did above, almost exactly. Only this time around, we have a balance of 200. We have an interest rate of 18%. See what I mean? These are like almost exact. These are exactly the same numbers so far, except this time we make a payment of $150, and we're using the average daily balance method. And they want us to find the finance charge. So one thing that we need is P, right? P is the average amount that you owed the credit card company last month, right? So for 10 days, we had the 200 that we owed, right? After 10 days, though, we brought the amount we owed down to 50. And it was like that for the next 20 days because we were also told that this month was 30 days long, right? So very similar to the last one. We divide by 30. So this time, right, we have our 2,000 plus 1,000 divided by 30. That gives me a value of $100. So on average, last month, we had an amount of $100 on our credit card, right? And so therefore, to find out how much we owe as a finance charge, then we take I equal to PRT, which is 100 times the annual rate of 0.18 times, for average daily balance, we use T equal to 30 over 365, right? So note to self, with this method, we need the T equal to 30 because we have 30 days out of 365 days of the year. Okay, so when we multiply this, right, we have 18 times 30 divided by 365. That gives me $1.479, so 48. So we'll owe $1.48 as a finance charge. Okay. So number 6 is just like the previous one, but really more like the number 4, right? It's going to be 3 versions. We're going to do each one of the methods, right? So let's try to do this one a little more organized, maybe. Well, in that I want to try to fit them all on here at the same time, unlike last time, right? So this time I'm going to try to mimic the book a little, and because they have a nice chart, right? So in our chart, they have a P, an R, a T, and an I row, which is PRT. Whoops, that should be an equal. And then my colon. Okay. On the top, they've got the methods, right? So here we'll do our previous balance method. Then we also have the adjusted balance method. And then the one we've practiced a couple times now, the average daily balance method. Okay, so this problem 6 for our homework is number 34 in the book, right? So I'll label it up here. Number 37 in our book. Oh, 34. I don't know why I said 7, sorry. Okay. So number 34 in the book. And this time around, we have a $3,000 previous balance. We have an interest rate of 18%. They like that 18%. We have a payment of 2,500. So that one generally comes off of the adjusted, right away. So this one has a 500. The average daily balance takes 10 days to be recorded. And just like the other ones, we have 30 days. So let's finish our chart a little. We have 1 out of 12, 1 out of 12, right? 0.18. And the days for the average daily balance, that's going to be 30 out of 365, always the same rate, right? But the average daily balance, we have to compute what P is. So for 10 days, because that's how long it takes the payment to clear, we owed 3,000. Then we only owed 500 for the next 20 days, right? Which we then have to average over, whoa, I said that for 100 days. Hold on, 10 days. So we had 3,000 for 10 days, 500 for 20 days, and we're dividing by the quantity 30 because that's the total number of days that we had this month, right? Trying to make it nicer, and I made it a little worse. Okay, so that's going to be our P there. And then mostly what you have to do here is just like multiply straight down. They, of course, in the book wrote it out because they're decent. So 3,000 times 0.18 times 1/12, right? For previous balance gives us 3,000 times 0.18 times 1/12. That gives me $45. Dang, girl. That's a finance charge. That's a lot. Okay, so for our next finance charge, we have only $500 that they're going to charge us on the 0.18 and times the 1/12, right? Because we're just doing the P equals I equals PRT. So 500 times 0.18 times 1/12 is decent. It's down to $7.50. And then for my average daily balance, I need to find P, right? So 3,000 times 10 plus 500 times 20, quantity divided by 30, gives me a P of 13.33 and 33 cents. So down on our final entry for average daily balance, we'll have P times R times T. Let's see what that equals. 1,333 times 30 over 365. I'm getting an amount of $19.725, so 73 cents as a finance charge. And those are our three answers for what's 34 in the book and number 6 in the homework. Okay. Okay, let's see. So number 7, that's where we're at. Number 7 is in your book number 36. Right, so 36 in your book. And it says make a 5% offer on a Ford Escort that has a sticker price of a certain amount and a dealer cost of another amount. Let's see. Okay, so let's just go for it, right? Let's see what happens. So let's look at 12.70. This is our dealer cost. And there's a sticker cost, but we don't want to pay the sticker cost, right? So we have a sticker cost of $12,793.53 on this car we're trying to purchase, right? The dealer paid $12,012.70, and we're trying to make a 5% offer. So what's 5% of 12, the dealer cost, right? Because that's what we're trying to offer them. Is like, instead of however much they marked the price up, right, which is a different equation, that's the percent of change equation. Instead of their markup, right, we just want to offer them 5%, right? So we want to offer them, say, let me show you the math. We want to offer them a profit of 600, round it to the 64 cents. We're supposed to round to the nearest dollar. So we'll do that in the end. But we're going to make a 5% offer, which means we take the dealer price and add 5%, right? So that looks like 12,012.70 plus the 5%, right? Which gives us 12,613 if we're rounding to the nearest place value. So, dollars. So 12,012.70, just to double check, 0.600, 0.64. Yeah, so I get 34, and then we're asked to round to the nearest dollar. So we're going to offer the salesperson, we're going to say, well, I don't really want to pay 12,793. How about I give you 12,600 13. Will you take that? And maybe they will, right? It's only a couple $100 off. Maybe it's worth it to them. Okay, so number 8, it feels weird that this one's in this section, but that's okay, right? Let's see, number 8 is a video, and then number 9 is about APR. Find the APR, so round it to the nearest 1/10 of a percent for a loan described below. We're purchasing a living room set for $3,100 at 12% with an add-on interest loan for 3 years. So this is number 39 in your book. It's number 9 on your homework, 39 in your book, right? But add-on interest loans, they were the first part of this section. And actually, we've already looked at doing these before, right? But what we didn't look at doing was APR, right? So even though we've looked at this type of loan before, we haven't looked at APR. So if you go to section 11.2, like I was saying before on page 515, we have the APR formula. And I think we finally get to use it. So there we're told the APR is approximately 2NR over N plus 1. Okay. Where R is the interest rate. So they gave us a 12% interest rate. They gave us a purchase price and a 3-year loan, right? So we have R, we need N if we're using this formula. And capital N is with the number of payments. So if this is a monthly, okay, so let me start over. This is an add-on loan, which means there's a monthly payment, right? And the monthly payment for 3 years means that N is 36, right? So I think that's all we need then, because we have an N now and we have an R. Okay, so look at page the 4 if you want, right? If you want to, before you look at 515, on page 513 is your add-on interest loan box where it has all of your variables and information. Like I said, we did this one actually in 11.1, but it's nice that they defined it for us finally, right? Because before we just like attacked it intuitively. So 2 times 36 times 0.12 divide by 37, right? Because 36 plus 1 is 37. That gives me a value of 0.2335, which is 23.4% when we're rounding to the nearest 1/10 of a percent. So here is APR using the formula from the book, which is what I thought we were doing in the first couple of questions, which is why I kind of got a little confused, but that's all right because it just means the first questions that we looked at were around example 6, right? That's what they were telling us, example 6. This section, this stuff here, this is like example, well, it's around example 1, and it's more closely related to example 3. So, yeah, so we're kind of bouncing around in this chapter, but that's okay, right? Now they're asking us in number 10, which is 44 in your book. And number 44 in the book, they're asking us to assume that a car can be purchased for 0% down for 60 months. 60 months is 5 years. I just divided that by 12 to figure out how many years we're talking about here. And it says in lieu of rebate. So instead of getting money back or something, which some of these problems will deal with, we can purchase it at 0% down for 60 months, right? In lieu of rebate. A BMW that has a sticker price of, so we'll call that a, oh, hold on. Sorry, I lost my whiteboard for a second. Let's see, we have a I'm going to call it price. We have a sticker. Sorry, my tablet's being a little funny. We have a sticker price of $62,410 with factory and dealer rebates of $6,000. And this problem's telling us to see 11.2 example 5. So we definitely want to do that, right? None of us are pros at this. If you are, then maybe you want to be like an accountant or something, right? Or maybe you already were an accountant and now you're trying to study something else. But most of us don't just know this stuff off the top of our head. And so you'll go look at whatever example they told you to, right? Going and looking at example 5. Okay, so we'll use that one as a guide. We're asked four separate questions. And in the first one, they ask us, find the monthly payment if financed for 60 months at 0% APR. So if let's see, let's run through it once and see how it goes. Make sure we're on the right track, right? So if we take the amount, the sticker price, and divide it by the 60 months, right? Then what are we looking at? 10 divided by 60. That gives me 10.40, and rounding to the nearest cent, 17 cents. Okay, so check, we're on the right move here. Okay, so that's the monthly payment if financed for 60 months at 0 APR, right? So that was part A. So I'm going to put a note there just so we know. This one is our with 0% APR. So that is like, they're not charging us anything extra, right? It's like the price you see on the sticker is the price you pay. So long as you pay it in 60 months, you don't owe any financing, right? The next one asks us to find the monthly payment if financed which means we're borrowing at a 2.5% rate for 60 months. So here's the for 60 months. And on this one, we would, let's see, just trying to figure if the dealer rebates come in on this one. Okay, so for part B, we get the rebate, right? So we actually have 62410 that they want to charge us, but they're saying they'll give us $6,000 less of a charge if we want to finance, right? So 62410 take away 6,000 means they're going to charge us just $56,410 if we want to go with the financing option, right? So for the financing option, then what we have is we want to find the interest rate, or not rate, but the interest amount, right? So I equals PRT. P for us is 56410. The rate, 2.5%, so 0.025 to use a decimal. And years is 3, right? They told us that. Oh, 3, it's 5. Good thing I double checked and went to look where we wrote it, right? Because 60 months is 5 years. Now we throw this in the calculator, right? 56410 times 0.025 times 5. That gives us monthly payment. I was like, wait a second. Okay, $7,051.25. So yeah, we got a rebate of 6,000, but we're financing it for 7,000, right? So actually, they're going to get some dough out of us. So that's going to be the interest that they charge. So the future amount that we owe, and therefore then divide by 60 in order to find the monthly payment, right? We take the original, original amount after rebate, and we add to it the interest rate, and we divide by the 60 months, right? So note to self, A equals P plus I, and that denominator is a 60 if you can't see it. Okay, so let me add and then divide. Okay, that's looking better. Now I've got a monthly payment of $1,057.69 when rounded to the nearest cent. So as you can see, it'd be better to go with the 0% APR so far, right? Because with the 0% APR, we had a monthly payment of $1,040. Taking the rebate and then adding a finance charge, that gets us to a monthly payment of about $1,750 more, right? So nearly $20 more a month by taking the rebate, right? So that's kind of tricky because you're like, oh, I'll do the rebate. That sounds great. But actually, the paying 0% APR sounded a little greater, right? Okay, C reads, use the APR approximation formula. That was the one we used a moment ago or so. Yeah, a moment ago. To find the APR for part B, round your answer to 1 decimal place. So the APR for part B, because there's a percentage, right? And we needed a percentage for our formula. So let me erase A so I can get it out of my way a little. And I'm going to write part C above B because it's still relative to B. So the interest rate in B was 2.5%, which we wrote in decimal form as 0.25. We also had a capital N, which I wrote as lowercase, but that's just because I'm used to that notation. But we have a capital N of 60. And we're given that formula of APR is approximately, what was it, 2R, no, I better look it up. Thought I remembered it, but now I'm doubting. Oh, 2NR, okay. Yeah, I was gonna like add or something. Let's see, 2NR over N plus 1. So see, even I have to go look everything up every single time I use it until it gets committed to memory. This would be 2 times 60 times 0.025. And then we're going to divide by 61 because that's N plus 1. So 2 times 60 times 0.025, enter, divide by 61, gives me a value of 0.049, which is 4.9%. So we have an APR for Part C of 4.9%. State whether the so for Part D, sorry about, I just keep going on. So there is a Part D and it asks us whether the 0% APR, that was our first question, or the 2.5% add-on rate should be preferred. And as we saw before, right, the choice of the 0% APR gave us lower monthly payment. So we were thinking D was a better choice, right? Or D. We were thinking 0% APR was a better choice. And you'll want to type that in just like that, 0%, capital A, capital P, capital R, right? Okay, or it might be a drop-down menu for you. That would be nice if it was a drop-down menu. Okay, so let's take a look at number 11. Number 11 is number 45 in the book. Assume the car can be purchased for 0% down. So we have 0% down for 60 months. Again, that's 5 years. That's in lieu of the rebate. Sticker price on the car is 42850. The dealer rebate, so rebate of 5,100. There's a hint to see example 5, but we just did one of these, right? So we can be our own example 5. We're going to find the monthly payment if there's if the choice is no down, right? Then we're going to find the monthly payment if we take them up at their offer of the rebate, right? But the rebate comes with a finance option, then no of still the 2.5%, so 0.025. And what else do we need? We needed that APR formula, right? So I'm just going to write it here. 2NR over n plus 1. And then again, we'll choose which of the choices were better, right? So let's try to fit it all on here this time, maybe. Okay, so A will be just to take the 42,850 and divide by the 60 months, right? That's the straightforward approach. We're paying nothing, no percent of financing, right? They're going to let us pay just the purchase of the vehicle as long as we can pay it off in 60 payments. Then they won't charge us any extra financing, right? So this is our monthly using 0% APR, right? So B would be for us to subtract out the 51 and then find the interest, right? So first we are going to find P for ourselves. This is P. So 42850 take away 5100 gives us a 37750 price tag, right? So they're going to quote unquote charge us this with the rebate, right? Because we use the rebate. But they're going to charge us interest now, right? So we're going to be paying interest on 37750 with the rate of 0.025 and a time of 5 years, right? We were told 60 months. 60 months is 5 years. And we crunch this through the calculator and we get 471875. So now we're going to pay that in addition to the original amount after rebate. So 37750 plus 4718 and 75 over the 60 months, right? 'Cause we're still looking at that. So 7750, that brings it up to $42,468.75. Oh, I think this time this is going to be the better deal. That'd be cool. I like seeing like the two different options, right? Because otherwise you get in a rut thinking, oh, it's always going to be the 0 APR. But look, we've got a lower monthly payment with the rebate this time, right? So this one is with the rebate and 2.5% financing, right? C asks us for the APR of part B. APR is it's an approximation, right? But we've got that formula 2 in R divide by n plus 1. So this is 2 times 60 times 0.025 divide by 61. That gives me a 0.049 like last time, which is a 4.9% APR. And D asks us, which is the better deal, right? This time around, the better deal is the 707 per month, right? So for part D, the better deal is, it's a multiple choice question, which is nice, 2.5% add-on rate, right? So that's our choice for D because it's lower monthly payment. So those ones are long. They seem like they're one question and then it's like 4 questions long, right? So let's see. Number 12 is number 48 in the book. So number 48 is your number 12. A payday loan. Okay. Okay. A payday loan provides short-term loans ranging from $250 to $2,000. Assume that the cost of the loan is $1 per day. Ooh, and $100 per day per $100 borrowed until the loan is repaid. What is the cost of a $950 payday 2-week loan? Oh, what is the cost? Okay. So if we have $950 and we have to pay $1 of that per 100, right? Per day, that means we have to pay $9.50 per day. And it's a 2-week loan. Which means there's 14 days. So I think we multiply 14 days times $950, or sorry, $9. Don't pay him $950 every day. Pay him the $9.50, right? So 950 times 14 gives me 133. So it's going to cost me $133. And eyeballing it, right? They're saying what's the finance charge, right? Kind of thing. 10 of these days, right? If we took 10 and multiplied it. Oh, no, sorry. I was thinking something else. I was thinking we could recover the 950, but this is just the finance charge, right? And so what we're going to end up paying them, not that they asked us, but that's what my brain was trying to figure out, is that we're going to end up paying them, right, P plus I for how much our actual loan is costing us. Then this is 1083. So we borrow 950, we pay back 1083, which means we have $133 in interest, right? So yeah, hopefully it was a little strange, like not as straightforward, but maybe something that people really have to deal with, right? Because payday loans are something in our everyday lives sometimes that are hard to understand. And so it's a good example, I think. Okay, 13 is a video for you to watch. And then we just have about 4 questions left, but you better believe those questions are all 4 questions long. Okay, so looking at number 14, which for me is 51 in the book, we have, for the car loan described, give the following information. So a newspaper advertisement offers a $9,000 car for nothing down, $36 easy payments of, oh, and it's monthly payments. We're probably going to need to know that, of $347.50. Part A wants to know what's the amount to be paid. The amount to be paid is the future amount, right? And that's just P plus I. And I is, let me write it out, is P plus PRT, right? So if we take our 9,000 and add that to the interest that they're charging us, which I don't know. So actually that's the wrong approach, right? This one's actually a little easier. It's an intuitive approach, right? So no formula needed. Okay, so how much are we going to pay in the future? We're going to pay 36 amounts of $347.50, right? That's another way of viewing future amount, right? I'm used to solving for the interest and then going to the future amount. But this time they told us how much our monthly payments would be. So all we have to do is multiply by the number of monthly payments that we have. So in fact, the future amount is 12,510. Now they want to know the amount of interest because, as I was saying, A, which is what this is, equals P plus I, then the amount of interest will be, right? If we were to subtract P from both sides, we would have I equals A minus P, right? And so I then is for us to take the 12,510 and remove the original amount of 9,000. Then we see they're charging us $3,510 in interest to buy this car. So what's the interest rate? Right now we're going to use, I'm going to switch colors. Now we're going to use the fact that I equals PRT, right? So in C, we have an interest rate of 3,510, and that equals a P of 9,000, right? Because P is 9,000 times our rate, which is the thing they want us to figure out, times the amount of years, right? 36 easy payments is us paying them for 3 years. And so if we solve for R, we have R equal to 3,510 divided by 3 times the value 9,000, because we're going to divide both sides by 9,000 and divide both sides by 3. So when I enter this into the calculator, I get 0.13, which is equal to 13%. So they were asking us to find R. And now D. What is the APR, right? Now, APR formula that we've been using has been 2NR over N plus 1. So I'm actually going to go up to the top here and do the APR formula. It's hard for me to write up at the top of the screen. N was 36, right? So we have to do 2 times 36 times R in decimal form, so 0.13. And then we're going to divide by 37 because n plus 1 is 37. So 2 times 36 times 0.13, enter, divide by 37, enter. I get the value 0.25297, blah, 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 which is 25.3% APR. So I like the straightforwardness of what we did in the red parts, right? We had to do some solving once we got to part C in the black. And then we had to use a formula again for part D in green. That was number 51 in your book. 51 has an answer in the back of the book, which is always nice, right? A second example of that is your number 15, right? So you're just going to repeat the process with different values, but this one also has an amount that you put down. So for number 15, which is 53 in the book, we have for the car loan described, give the following information. A car dealer will sell you a used car. So I'm going to say the price of the car is $6,998 with 798 down payment and payments monthly of $165.51 for 48 months. Okay, so 48 months is 4 years, right? We're going to want that probably. And now let's take a look at part A, amount to be paid. We're going to pay 48 months at $165.51, right? When I stick that in the calculator, I get $7,944.48 plus your down payment, right? So I'm going to say plus the down payment. So we have 794,448, but we also paid them $798 to begin with, right? They thought we forgot about that. So we actually paid these guys $8,742 and rounding to the nearest cent, 48 cents. For part B, they want to know the amount of interest, right? So we just have to take not the 8,742, right? Because that had a down payment. We only paid finances. So we only paid interest in this 7,944 quantity. That's where we're going to take the okay, let's work on that. So if we have 6,998 and we take away the 798, then the amount we're borrowing is 6,200, right? That's the amount we're borrowing. So we're going to take that away from the amount we pay in payments without the down payment, right? So part A, this gives me, I'm just going to do it in the calculator because I don't want to mess up. 174448. That's the amount they charged us in interest. right? This is the total paid. Now, part C, what do you have for us? Part C asks for the interest rate, right? We found that before. We said that I equals PRT. We said I is 1744.48. That the P involved with that was 6200. We don't know the rate. That's the thing we're looking for. But T equals 4 years, right? So here, just recall we used P to be 6200, right here. Okay, so solving for R, then we have 1744.48 divide by 4 times 6200, right? That's our denominator. So we'll divide by 4 times 6200 in parentheses, which gives me the value 0.0703, which is 7.03%. And then their last question then is, please find for me the APR, which is 2NR over N plus 1. I just capitalize R for no reason, just because N is capitalized, I guess. This is 2 times 48, right? Because it's 48 months, times the rate of 0.0703. Then we're going to divide by 49. Okay, so we do that. 2 times 48 times 0.0703, enter. Divide by 49, enter. I get to be out of space, so I'm actually going to erase this, not subtract, but erase. And what I get is 0.1377, which is 13.8%. Hopefully they stopped at 8 APR. Okay, just a couple left, right? We've got 16 and 17 left. That's number 55 and 59 in the book, and we are almost done. So definitely difficult material, but really formula driven. So always just be consulting with your book at all times. In this last, and in number 55, which is 16 for you, we have a car dealer carries out the following calculations, right? They have a list price, options, destination charges, a subtotal, tax, less the trade-in, amount to be financed. Then they give us a 14% interest rate for 48 months, a total, a monthly payment. And then they ask us, what's the annual percentage rate? So all of that jazz, and we needed the one line in number 55 that said 14% interest for 48 months. APR is approximately 2 NR over N plus 1. R in decimal form is 0.14 and N is 48. So 2 times 48 times 0.14 divided by 49. That gives me a value of 0.274, blah, blah, blah. Well, just so you know, doesn't need to round, it's a 2. That gives us 27.4% APR. So long problem, little amount of work if you just grab the correct line, right? Okay, and then our last question is number 17 for you, 59 for the book. It asks us for a monthly payment. So, and it also tells us to look at example 1. So that's kind of funny. The very last question tells us to go look at example 1. Excuse me, I'm yawning over here. I've been talking for too long. Okay, so in number 59, we have Karen and Wayne need to buy a refrigerator because theirs just broke. Unfortunately, their savings account is depleted and they will need to borrow money in order to buy a new one. Sears offers them an installment loan at 14%. That's the add-on rate. If the refrigerator at Sears costs $1,598 plus 5% tax, and Karen and Wayne plan to pay for the refrigerator for 3 years, what is the monthly payment? Okay, so we have a couple of steps to follow, right? We have a sales tax that we have to include, so that's different, right? And let's give it a try because in number 1, let's see. Oh, so I think in number 1 or whatever, I think in number 17, number 16's list is probably a good reference. I think that's actually a reference that's close to example 1, right? So even though we only needed 1 line to get 16 done, we need to sort of recreate the chart in order to get 17 done. Okay, so, I mean, in a way, but we don't have like a trade-in or anything. So what we have going on is Karen and Wayne need to buy a refrigerator, right? Sears offers them an installment loan at a 14% interest rate, right? So if R is 14%, then it's a 0.14 in decimal form. The refrigerator costs, the refrigerator price, so I don't want to call it P yet because I'm not really sure, but $15.98 for the fridge, right? But then they also have to pay tax of 5%, right? I guess we don't have to write sales tax twice, but whatever. And we also have that we're paying this off or they're paying this off over 3 years, right? Note 3 years is 36 months. Come on. Come. Good boy. Okay. And what they're asking us for is the monthly payment. So future amount divided by N, right? Or capital N in our book. Okay, so what we need to look at here is what is our future amount, right? Usually future amount is just the amount plus interest, right? Where interest is PRT, but we also have the sales tax to take into an account, right? And so we've got I think we put the tax in first. So let's try that, right? So how much tax would you be paying on this purchase? So 1598 times 0.05, that is a tax of $79.90. But we're probably financing that as well, right? So that's why I held off on what P is, because if we add the tax then to 1598, we have a P, the amount we want to finance, of 1,677.90. Now with that P in place, we can talk about future amounts, right? And we can talk about the number of payments or the monthly payments. Okay, so A is, if we have all the components, I like to use P times the quantity 1 plus RT version so that we can just stick it in our formula. So P times 1 plus RT over N. Now that we know how much we're borrowing, we can calculate the rest. So our rate is the 0.14. The time is 3 years, right? And we're going to divide by 36 months, right? Because that's what the 3 years are. So let's first calculate 0.14 times 3 plus 1, hit enter, times 1677.90, hit enter, and then divide by 36. We see that we'll be owing them $66.18 per month. And that also references example 1 in your book. This was number 59 in the book and number 17 for you. And that was the last homework question. So if you have any questions, definitely come see me in office hours, right? Which are just student drop-in hours or tutoring hours. So let's see. We've got tutoring, which are just drop-in hours. Your teachers might call them office hours, right? But for me, they're Monday and Thursday from 2 to 3 p.m. and Monday and Wednesday at 6 to 7:15 p.m. So please, if you have any questions, of course, feel free to email me, but also come stop by, right? I'm more than happy to help you with your questions and your homework. So thank you. Have a good night.